Welcome to today's episode, Total Indian Takeover.
No! God, please, no! No!
Now, I know you guys have seen me harp on the Indians and you think, what's her problem? Why doesn't she just leave these poor Southeast Asians alone? What have they ever done to her? Now, if you're still asleep and you're retarded enough to believe that you should open up your country to a bunch of people from a country that can't even figure out a proper sewage system, you're probably on the wrong channel. I have my gripe with the Indians because every time they come into an industry, they take it over and make it worse. And trust me, I have plenty of receipts. I don't just say things off the top of my head because I'm racist. That's a nice slander that people try to use to shut you up when you actually have a fair point and they don't have any counter argument. So what has inspired today's video? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Most of the time, it's things I read on the internet that piss me off because I know they're not true. But this time, it's actual direct personal experience that I've had with an Indian-owned hotel. As you guys know, I was in Kansas City last weekend doing comedy, and they put us up at a Best Western that's on the Speedway in Kansas City. Now, when you look at the overall reviews, it's got a 4-star rating. You think, great, this is a great hotel. Not so fast. The reason this hotel still has a 4-star rating is because it still has all those positive reviews from when it wasn't owned by Indians. Now, the first thing that tipped me off that this hotel was owned by Indians was the smell. Now, people are like, you're racist, but there is a distinct smell that seems to come over all of these hotels once they get taken over by Indians. And this isn't my first rodeo staying in an Indian hotel. That's why I recognize it pretty much right away, okay? And before everybody starts with me about, you're racist, shut up and listen up. Is it true? That's the question, okay? This is my third time staying in a hotel consecutively that was owned by Indians. First of all, how come all these Indians have hotels? Can somebody tell me this? What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They get special loans that are set aside by the government for foreigners to come in and open up businesses in America. Loans that you and I, as American citizens, are not entitled to. Discrimination? Absolutely. That's why every time you go into a 7-Eleven or a gas station, it's just a rotating Indian family that owns it. So I stayed at this hotel. Of course, the smell wasn't great, but I thought, whatever, we're just going to be here for a couple nights. Doesn't matter. First clue that there's gonna be a problem is we get to our hotel room and we try to log into the internet with the Wi-Fi code that was given to us. And what do you know? The network doesn't exist. What? How could that be? Now you're like, Leonarda, sometimes the internet doesn't work at these hotels. Fair enough. So we go down to the front desk and we're like, hey, maybe you gave us the wrong network because we're not seeing this. And they go, no, this is the network. And we go, well, look, we can't pull it up. Now, what does the Indian receptionist at the desk do? Does she apologize? Does she tell us the truth? No, she lies. That's right. And if you've ever dealt with an Indian in business, you'll know that this is a pretty common standard feature. She tells us, hey, I'm pulling up the internet just fine on my phone. So then we say, oh, really? Can I see it? And she goes, yeah, look, it's here. He goes, let me see the network. And when we go to pull up the network, what happens? The network doesn't exist. And then she goes, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it doesn't work. No shame. Absolutely no shame, no admittance of guilt, nothing. So my fiance who was with me was like, wow, I can't believe the internet is down. And I said, oh, you sweet, sweet child. You think they have an internet and it doesn't work? No. Let me tell you what happened, because I've been dealing with these people for quite a while. They canceled their internet a long time ago because they didn't want to spend the couple of $1,000s a month that it costs to run internet for their hotel. And then they just tell the customers, oh, I'm not sure why it's down. Oh, nobody else has this problem. They lie blatantly to save a couple of bucks. Now you go, Leonarda, what's the big deal? It's just internet. Fine. I live in a first world country. I would like first world amenities. This is why it's the first world. This is why we don't have trash anywhere. But if you peasants are okay with not having internet, there's more. After this experience, of course, I go to leave a review because I'm like, everybody should know what they're getting into. And I go look at the recent reviews, and what do I find? A litany of problems that are beyond just not having internet. Things like health problems in the pool. Things like elevator dangers. Let me go ahead and show you this so you can see that I'm not lying. I don't know how long I'm going to be allowed on YouTube. The YouTube gods are fickle. So if you want to stay in touch, go to my website, leonardaisfunny.com, and sign up for my newsletter. Eventually, I'm going to just start hosting a lot of these videos on my own website so that they are truly uncensored. So if you want to be in on that, sign up on my website. You'll also see all my tour dates. I'm coming to a bunch of cities this summer, so don't hit me up later and go, why didn't you come to my city, when I just did. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help the algorithm. I do read a lot of your comments. They give me a good laugh. Sometimes I respond. I appreciate all the super chats that I get, the super thanks. Those are nice. It's nice to make some money while I'm over here trying to save the American and European peoples. There you go. As you guys can see, here's my review. Here's me telling you that they did not have internet and they just lied to people. Okay, here's another review from a week before. Okay, 0 stars, worst hotel experience ever, dirty, common problem. Pool is not available even though they advertise it is. By the way, the pool was closed when I was there too. It said pool temporary closed. It seems like it's been temporarily closed for a while. No housekeeping or clean towels. Our towels were stained. We didn't know if they were actually clean. Breakfast was gross and cold, $129 a night, and no discount even though the amenities were not available. The place was hot and dirty, and floors smell of mold and sewer. See, I'm not being racist. I'm telling you what it was. I guess I should have read the entire website. The pool is not working. Good variety for breakfast. I would have rented something a tad cheaper if I knew the pool wasn't working. Fine. Here's another one, 2 weeks ago. This hotel is horrible. The pool is not functioning. There's a sign on the door from the Department of Health. Because you better believe that the Department of Health didn't shut down this dirty ass pool. They would have still had it open, and it wouldn't matter if you get Ebola or whatever the hell else you can get out of the pool. There is mold. The ice machine doesn't work. Be prepared to get stuck in the elevator. So as you say to me, Leonarda, what's the problem with the Wi-Fi? Here's the problem. If you don't care about the little things, you don't care about the big things. Fine, you don't care about the Wi-Fi. You probably also are not maintaining the safety of your elevator because you think, oh, everything just functions naturally in a white society. What do I have to do? Okay, so if somebody gets stuck in an elevator or gets their hand slammed in the door because the elevator is not working properly, the little signs are there. Here's another one. It has a pool. Okay, we were informed by the front desk that the pool was closed. This is from a month ago. We asked to speak to the manager, but they said they would not be available. Convenient, right? Manager's not there. Oh yeah, here we go. We were welcomed by a putrid, rancid odor. See, I'm not being racist. I'm telling you what it is. Only refunded them $25. I'm sure that really ate them alive. The amenities were lacking. Here's from 2 months ago. The pool was closed. Hotel very frustrating. I paid $280 a night. The toilet did not flush. The hotel smelled of sour, musty water. The pool and hotel was out of service. Significant water leaking down the first floor near the fitness. Also, fitness equipment had caution tape. This is from 3 weeks ago. The fitness equipment still had that caution tape when I was there. Here's another one. Hands down, worst hotel I ever stayed in. Once you get past the front desk, the smell is something special. It's a combination of sewage and the worst perfume imaginable. Not just me, not just me. Fine, keep going. He wore his shoes in the hotel the whole time because yuck. We were on the 3rd floor with the windows that opened all the way. Safety hazard for sure. Do not stay with small children. The window lock was broken. The screen was hanging. The pool was closed. You can see, and then there was another guy who was talking about how the elevator slammed into him and another person got stuck in the elevator. So that's why I have an issue. It's not little things. It's these people coming from a culture that does not have the same respect and value for human life, that they think it's inconsequential, that things like the elevator don't work, or that the pool is full of feces, or that your window might open and your kids will fall out, because they're like, well, they'll be reincarnated in the next life and maybe they'll come back better. So this is a problem. Now let's see if we go back to, I just want to see if any of these 5-star, I don't know who these people are leaving 5-star reviews, but I went looking through and most of them seem to be coming from a longer time ago, perhaps when the hotel hadn't been taken over by Indians. You might be like, oh, this is the only one. Let me tell you about the other hotel. I stayed in a Comfort Inn in Nashville. And I get there and what do you know? It's an Indian running it. Go up to my hotel room, doesn't look great, whatever. I didn't pay a lot of money for it. But as I'm walking to the bathroom, I'm crossing the threshold from the room to the kitchen when I step on something sharp and I'm like, ow. And I look down and the carpet was ripped right at the point where it would connect and you had the carpet tacks up. You know, there's like those strips in which you nail the carpet down. All the nails were up just for me to step on. No care. No care whatsoever. These places deserve to go out of business and be totally shut down and be taken over by nice white Americans who care about your experience. Because it's not like they were charging them less money. It's not like it was any cheaper. They're just trying to suck out everything they can out of the system. Therefore, when we have a man like Vivek Ramaswamy, that's what I like to call him, and I'll tell you why. He's a total con artist, and if you guys don't realize it, you're out of your mind. And he says something like, it's a shame to watch the race-obsessed fringe of the right try to outdo the race-obsessed woke left. Your people are the ones that are race-obsessed, and you try to pretend that we somehow are the race-obsessed people because we don't want to let you come in and take over every resource in our country and destroy it. Therefore, you project this inner racism that you actually have because you know that white people are the only ones who care about being called racist, which to my fellow whites, cut it out. Cut the shit. Okay? They're only calling you racist so they can rob you blind and you're just supposed to say thank you to them. Here's evidence number 1. This article was in the Economic Times and it says this American man reveals that an Indian CEO took over a firm and hired only other Indians. Comes in, takes over the firm, boots out all the founders, hires Indians. And you're like, oh, this is just one example. No. I know countless stories like this. People on X who tell their stories. I know people in my own life who work in tech, who were interviewing for 1 or 2 years before, they were applying for jobs for 1 or 2 years before even getting a single interview. A lot of these interviews are fake. They set up these interviews to make it seem like they're interested in hiring white Americans, but they're not. And recently, somebody sent me a story, sent me his personal testimony of what it was like trying to get a job in tech as a white American. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I was a software developer while on active duty. He got his bachelor's in science and computer science and aerospace engineering and a master's in science and computer science. Very well educated man. For the next decade up to 2015, he works as a systems engineer on the B-2 stealth bomber. So in 2015, his wife wants to move to Dallas-Fort Worth, which if you know anything about that, it's the land, you could just call it mini India, to pursue opportunities in the private sector. He had health issues, so he's got to take some time off. And then he spends 10 years applying to many, many jobs. In the last 3 years, he says he logged 5,000 5,000 applications. So when you have Vivek going on there and saying, you're just lazy, you're not trying hard enough, he knows what he's doing. He's deceptive. He wants to put the shame and guilt back on you because Europeans are predisposed to this feeling, and he wants to make you feel bad that you don't want to let the poor little Indian come in and take over everything. He said in all, he had submitted a total of, after submitting about 5,000 applications, he stopped counting and he got 18 interviews, 18 out of 5,000. And he noticed a pattern. In every one of those 18 interviews, the hiring manager who was interested in him was American. What a surprise. But as in any tech-related field, the hiring guy is just keeping track of what everyone's doing. The tech lead is really the person who you want to work for, and the tech lead was always Indian. So what do you think happened on those interviews? If you guessed he didn't get any of those jobs, you were absolutely correct. Here were some of the strategies the Indians used to keep Americans out of the field. Number one, they demanded that a candidate be a 100% match to the job description. Now, this may not seem like, okay, well, don't you think you would want somebody who's a 100% match to the job description? Maybe. It depends on what the job description is. Is it arbitrary? Are you doing an arbitrary requirement, or is it something that's really necessary? What they do is they make it a super strict requirement that no one can match. The requirement is based on the tools they use. So now, I'm not a tech expert, but he gives me a nice example. They want 10 years of experience of someone using Craftsman hammers and screwdrivers. And you walk in with 20 years of experience, but you're using Black & Decker hammer and screwdrivers. Then they go, oh, sorry, you're disqualified. You don't have the relevant experience. And what he's saying is, you know, the skills that you have for the tools that you do have experience with, it's very easy to apply those skills to the other tools that they're using. But they're using this as an excuse to eliminate the Americans, because then what they do, they say, oh, look, we don't have these skilled Americans. We need to bring over all these H-1B visas. And to make things worse, they don't get an Indian who's got all the experience on the specific tool. They get somebody who's even less qualified, less experienced, who's got to go through tons of training and usually is really bad at what they do. So that's how you know it's an excuse and it's discrimination, and we need to start suing these bastards, because obviously they don't know we have a very legal system that loves to sue the shit out of people more than anything else. And his final straw is he gets a job at JP Morgan Chase. He lobbied a mainframe lead guy who was American that he met through one of his contacts for a role. He asked extensive questions about their software, and he realized that they could be a lot more productive with some of the suggestions that he had. He discussed it with the lead, he sold them on his plan, and he agreed to create a role for him. He literally created this job for this guy so he could come in and make it more efficient. Well, you can imagine where this is going. What ends up happening? Thursday before he's supposed to start, a VP stepped in and unhired him. Now, what do you think that VP was? If you guessed Indian, you guessed correctly. And the guy he put in the role was a much younger, much less educated Indian. In fact, he had never used mainframe. And so they literally created a role for a white guy, and the Indian goes, no, you're not going to have it. We're going to put in my own guy. This is what I'm talking about. This is the blatant racism that they have, the blatant nepotism. So all this shit where you're walking around being like, oh, I'm gonna use your right cultural abbreviation. Cut the shit. Cut the shit, because they're coming in and they're making hotels that smell like shit and have got the carpet ripped up so you can get tetanus. No regard for life, no regard for our culture. And he also goes on to say, it's not like they paid him less because they want to say, oh yeah, it's because we're saving money. Nope, the guy they hired is getting the $65 an hour that he was supposed to get. Oh, Leonarda, why are you so upset? This is why I'm so upset. Because then they come on and then we have Vivek Ramaswamy being belligerent enough to talk about how he's American. Lots of people falling for it, like this guy. Oh, he's a true believer. Yeah, true believer. Let's talk about how true of a believer he actually is. He married another Indian woman, had Indian kids. They still follow their own Hindu religion, did the most Indian thing he could do, which was scammed his investors out of $2.1 billion, I believe, by picking up an Alzheimer's medication that had already failed, having his mother conduct a trial in which magically the Alzheimer's medication works. Investors go, oh, this is great. Pour all their money in there, rips the money out before the phase 3 trials come out that show us doesn't actually work. Investors lose their money. He takes the money and goes, guess I'm going to run for government now. By the way, another George Soros funded puppet. So don't fall for the slick salesman smile. I'm standing in front of an American flag. Give me a break. So this is what India is like. People stepping on top of each other to get on a train. No regard for human life. Just trying to get, because these are the circumstances they live under. Now you import those people into a country like America that has a culture of courtesy, respect, guilt, not taking advantage, meritocracy, individuality, and you implant this foreign tribe in there and ask yourself what's going to happen to the people that are here. That's right. Total Indian takeover. Lots of people are commenting. Driving through Arkansas, I see a random sign for an Indian restaurant. What are Indians doing in Arkansas? They're in Japan, they're in Croatia, something's going on, and pretty soon the whole world's going to be Indian. And then where are the Indians going to go? Nowhere. They don't care. They won't care. They're not thinking like that. You're the ones who've got to fight for your own survival. Here we go. Another picture. This is like the hotel. This is exactly what the hotel that I stayed at will be in less than 5 to 10 years if there isn't any kind of intervention. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding? And now here's a nice video from this guy in England who experiences firsthand. You know, you want to know why India looks like this? It doesn't start like this. It starts here.
Right, I just need to chuck that out, pick it all up and put it back in your van. Pick it up, put it back in your van, now. Dirty cunt. Pick it up, put it back in your van, now.
No problem, I'll put it in.
Put it back in the van, now.
No problem.
Now! You fucking dirty, horrible, stinking cunts. Put it back in the van, now. Fucking scum of the earth.
This is our fucking country.
Sorry.
Fucking making it a tick.
Sorry about that.
Pick it up! You're fucking quick enough to chuck it on the fucking road? What's that English, chap? What are you saying?
You're not
Fucking sorry at all. You go to the next lay-by, wouldn't you?
It's just you've been caught, that's all.
Sorry about
You
that.
ain't fucking sorry. Stop saying sorry, you cunt. You ain't fucking sorry. She wouldn't have fucking done it.
Drive away and leave your shit.
You fucking might be useless back where you come from, you cunt. You ain't doing it in this country. PBP21NDN.
And we're going to report this.
Sorry about that.
Probably no
Not that
fucking
it's gonna
tax or
matter.
insurance on it anyway, is there? Sorry, fucking sorry, my ass. What company do you work for? What company do you work for?
Devon Furniture.
Devon Furniture. Fucking full of shit.
I don't know how you've got the neck to do this. Our lovely country. And shut your shit out.
What's Big Boy saying? He ain't saying fuck all here.
So that goes away. See, you gotta love when a British man gets angry. So all chill, having a couple of pints down at the pub, but you come to his country and you're trying to make it look like this. He's absolutely right. And honestly, fuck yeah, dude. I want to see more British men get angry like this and put him in his place. Because that's the only thing that's going to put him in check. See, when he says, you come to our country, That's when the little Indians put their head down and realize you're a guest. But we have a government that's run by pedophiles who hate us and want to destroy our country, and they back up these people so that they feel a kind of bravery and courage to come in and literally ruin your country, pull it apart, and then be able to have the nerve to turn around and say, you're racist if you object. But you know what? The white men are going to wake up one day and have enough. And when they do, you better believe that the white women are going to support them. Because women don't like losers and they don't like cowards. So the only reason they're siding with the migrants right now is because the migrants have the power because they're backed up by the state. But once you start putting motherfuckers in their place, women are going to remember what it's like to be a woman, and they're going to be like, that's my man. And when you get that control, don't forget it, and don't do stupid things like letting women in government again, because you're going to be right back where you started. Here's another one. Soon as you say anything about the Indians, they all come out and attack you because you're telling the truth. And they want to shut you down. And the only way they can shut you down is by threats and calling you racist. So if you guys aren't following Lord Miles, I highly suggest that you do. He's pretty awesome. He recently went all the way to Pakistan to get back a pair of his AirPods, which were stolen by an Indian cleaning person. But he did retrieve them, and that Indian person was arrested. So shout out to Lord Miles, one of the original Brits, still holding it down for the British Empire. So he gets a threat from this guy, Archie, which his name is Archish Soni, an Indian-American owner of the tech startup Cybersphere, said, I'll bust your kneecaps if your broke ass can't ever afford to be anywhere I'm at. Now, Indians love to be brave on the internet, and they love to be brave against people they think they could kick their ass. I can't tell you how many death threats I got for my one joke about Indians not being able to lift 10-pound dumbbells, and they got all upset because they know it's true. They know it's true, but none of them ever showed up. In fact, what they tried to do was put my information in a black group chat and try to get black guys to come and beat me up because they're racist, but they don't know that black guys love fat white girls. So, and I will end with this last video. This last video was put up by Dries. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. I've been following him for a while. He's from Belgium. He's under persecution because he shared he was in a group chat that shared quote unquote racist memes, and that was enough to make it illegal. Well, that's BS. They just know that he's a nationalist, he's anti-immigration, and he was becoming very popular because this is something that people actually want, and so they had to trump up some fake charges. But anyway, he posted this video about one of the immigrants who comes in and basically talks about how she doesn't work because she can't work because she's sick, and neither can her husband, and so they have to just live off the government. What's amazing is that if these two people were back in their country, I guarantee you they would be miraculously healed because there would be no government net to feed them, and they would have to work. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and watch this.
Hoe lang woont u al in Nederland, mevrouw?
Ik bijna 25 jaar.
En werkt u?
Nee. Ja.
Werkt uw man?
Mijn man ziek.
Jullie zijn allebei ziek?
Ja.
Dus het lukt allebei niet om te werken?
Nee.
En is er ook niet een kans dat u door uw ziekte toch op een of andere manier wel een baan kan vinden wat minder intensief is?
Ja, mijn man vroeger wilde studeren, maar lukt niet.
Vanwege de ziekte?
Ja.
En de taal leren, hoe moeilijk is dat?
Een beetje moeilijk.
Wat doet u dan de hele dag als u niet werkt?
Ik ben bezig thuis, wandelen buiten.
Hoe lang woont u al in Nederland, mevrouw?
Ik bijna 25 jaar.
En werkt u?
All right, that's it. So there you go. An immigrant that's been for 25 years, I believe that's Belgium, it's a European country, doesn't work. Why? Because she doesn't have to. Because she learns how she can exploit the system thanks to the NGOs who brought her over and taught her how to do it. And her husband is conveniently sick too. I mean, he wanted to study, but he was just too sick. He's too sick. Yeah, why don't you go be sick in your own country? You can tell she's lying. Yeah, I'm sick. Yeah, I'm sick. Okay, no shame. There's no shame because they don't see themselves as taking something from people who deserve. They think they deserve. These evil white people. Oh, well, they should just, if they're stupid enough to give it to us, 25 years, right? Can't learn the language, can't get a job, 25 years of taxpayers paying for her life. And she's one of many. That's why they're coming. They're not coming because they're escaping some horrible situation. And if they are, it's a situation that this kind of culture creates. All right, that's it, guys. Good night.